Hey everybody, welcome to Sad Panda Presents. This is a podcast about music. We're going to talk about what we think about different albums that we're listening to. Right now, we've actually got a break from the staff pick list on Consequences of Sound, and we're going to be talking about the Mars Volta, Bedlam, and Goliath. Fair warning, we use coarse language, say offensive things during the show, and I'm part of your host, Drewski.
And I'm Shane, and we have a special guest with us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey dudes. Well, hang on one second. There we go. Now it's a formal intro. My name is Ben, and I host the Street Pizza podcast. That's it. This is one of my favorite albums. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you chose this album.
Yeah.
So I guess, fucking A, Ben. Why is this one of your favorite albums? What got you introduced to this album? And
Well, can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, thank you for being on.
Yeah.
And actually listening and contributing.
Of course, dude.
I just want to say hey and thank you, because Andrew's a rude motherfucker.
Yeah, Shane has manners and I don't. So, but no.
I appreciate you guys supporting everything we do over here too. So, and it was very, very cool meeting you guys in Louisville this year.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yes, bro.
This is funny because I was really drunk when you guys showed up, and I was walking outside. And I think was I barefoot that night or?
Yes, you had your Flintstone feet on.
That's right, and I was carrying like a 12-pack of beer or something, and you were like, "Hey, are you Ben?" And I was like, "Some of the time, I don't know."
No, man.
When I feel like it.
when you walked in with a 12-pack of Coors Light and set it down on that picnic table, I was like, "That's fucking Ben. Like, it has to be. That's the only person it could possibly be."
Yeah, that's me. I'm pretty predictable.
Well, just from the conversations I'd had with you in Twitch stream,
yeah,
I recognized your actions.
So really, I was truthful in anything I told you.
Absolutely.
Shotgunning beers and debauchery.
A motherfucker's honest.
Yeah, it's true. And I remember, walking out to the courtyard, and I see a big guy carrying a little guy that happened to be Kyle and Ryan and Micah carrying Ryan's drunk ass, and then I see you with a trophy taking shots with a bunch of larger black women.
Yes.
I was like, that's gotta be Ben.
If only your listeners could have seen my celebration dance.
Some of them did.
Yes, they did. No, that was shortly after we went go-karting, and I was on one. Those women, they made me dance. It was, all right, you dance, we give you shots. All right, fair enough. You got me. I'm guilty.
I mean, you don't say no to that. You just don't.
No. Especially when a woman tells you to take a shot out of the trophy.
For sure.
Oh.
That's your motherfucking trophy.
I've done less for more.
Yeah, it was a pretty good night. And then, I ran into you guys, and you guys were two of the coolest dudes on the trip, for sure.
I mean, we definitely appreciate that, and we definitely aren't, but,
yeah.
But,
I mean, I like to think that you say that's true, but.
I don't know, you can't really listen to me, though, because I was a drunk idiot. That whole trip was a blur.
Oh, man.
It very much was. It very much was for everybody.
Well, because you guys had come in on Saturday, right?
Well, I came in Friday
we got
night.
there Friday night.
Friday night, that's right.
But
that's right.
Y'all were all at the track when we got in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So,
excuse me,
Shane, you drove, and Andrew, you flew, right?
Other way,
vice versa.
Yes.
Vice versa. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I flew in, and I was about an hour late to dinner because Donald Trump landed in South Carolina and he shut down the whole airport. So it put me back at 2 hours than when I should have been there.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's bad.
So I landed and Micah was like, "I'll pick you up real quick," and I was like, "Dog, just go to dinner. Like I appreciate you, Micah, but no, I'm not gonna make it."
Yeah. Well, if you want to hear my hot take, you didn't miss much at dinner because that cashmere place was not that good.
That's understandable.
Well,
It was okay.
Well, then again, there were like 40 heads rolling through. Like, it's hard to accommodate like just a random group of 40. Like,
also true.
Yeah.
We shut that place down too.
I bet. You walk in with that many people in any restaurant without them knowing about it, and it's going to put a damper on the night's business.
Definitely.
I mean, you're going to make a shitload of money, but yeah, it fucks up all kinds of normal schedules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's yeah. I'm in a restaurant. I know what that's like. We actually had a 25 walk in on like Tuesday. And they're like, "Oh, hey, we're all here." And I'm like, "Oh, great. Shit. Okay, well, let's do this real quick."
We'll figure this out somehow, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I remember having a pretty long conversation with both of you guys in terms of like what musical styles you liked and what your favorite bands were, and I remember that we had bonded over the fact that we both liked the Blood Brothers, and that was like one of the defining moments where we were like, all right, we're going to get along just fine.
I was surprised that you, Bailey, and Kyle were all talking about the Blood Brothers, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, y'all know who they are? Like,
oh yeah.
And then, like, I felt like you were testing me, like, yeah, well, what's your favorite album, man? I was like, well, I like Crimes is my favorite because I think it flows better than an album, but like, the Burn has the better hits. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a pretty long conversation about that. I remember.
Yeah, it freaked me the fuck out that there are 3 people I don't know the Blood Brothers. That was weird.
I saw them for the first time in like 2005 or 6, and it was like, people were like, who are you going to see? I have no clue. And it's like, I can't really show this to you because you're going to be really turned off by it, and you're going to think I'm a weirdo.
Exactly. And in fact, when I went to go see them, I missed my family's Thanksgiving. I was like, it's either go to Thanksgiving with my family or see the Blood Brothers, and I went to see the Blood Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Those guys they're pretty good though, regardless.
They're really good.
Yeah. So anyway, so coming full circle, when I found out about the Mars Volta was right around the time where I was listening to the Blood Brothers. I was listening to like the Red Light Sting, a lot of these bands that are underground, essentially, I want to say experimental or progressive sort of bands. And the Mars Volta, actually, Deloused in the Comatorium was pretty much the album that opened my eyes as far as like experimental and progressive. So when I first heard Deloused, I was hooked on the Mars Volta. And I had their albums the day they came out, all the way up until they broke up a couple years ago. So
yeah, I'm the same way, man. I happened to find out about Mars Volta. I was hanging out with a couple of friends of mine, and their friend from like Portland sent them like 5 or 6 different albums, and most of them, a couple of them were Elliott Smith, one was Interpol, and one was Mars Volta. And my buddy listened to all the albums, and he gave me the D-Lab in the Comatorium, and he was like, man, I'm not really feeling this. And I played that, I listened to it the one time, and I played it over and over and over again, and then I brought it back to him. I was like, hey man, you need to re-listen to this, because this is amazing.
This is really good.
Exactly. And ever since then, he was like, oh my god, why did I give this to you? I want it back. I was like, well, I'm going to burn this motherfucker first.
Yeah, right? I don't blame you. I'm going to get a copy from me. I don't blame you at all. Yeah, I didn't find out until years later, because I was a big fan of At the Drive-In before I was a fan of either the Mars Volta or just so happenstance that I was also a fan of Sparta. And I didn't know that at one time they were all one band. Oh yeah. I was like, I finally put all this together, and I was like, there's a reason why I like all 3 of these bands is because they're all the same people, you know?
Exactly.
So obviously, I believe it was Jim Ward had gone on and started Sparta, and Omar and Cedric had gone and started Mars Volta after they broke up. So
yeah, because At the Drive-In is a really good band.
Yeah, I had what was it was called, like Relationship Command or something like that.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I had. That had One Arm Scissor on it. So Yeah, other than that, I was a big fan of Sparta. They came out with Porcelain not far after they broke up, so and that was a really good album as well. So they had a song off that called like Breaking the Broken.
Yeah, Breaking the Broken. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
it was a really, really good song. Yep. So anyway,
so why this album, Ben?
Hang on, I fucked this up. Oh, there we go. So I actually don't think this is one of the Mars Volta's best albums. I'm more so into the lore behind it, because this album has a very crazy story and a lot of like weird witchcrafty shit went on during the recording this album, and I was always drawn to more so the lore rather than the sound of the album. In my personal opinion, I think Delouse and I think Ambitexture are better albums.
Okay.
But this one is fucking cool.
I agree. I feel like I really do like. I mean, Delouse I think is their number one.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Francis the Mute. They took it in a weird direction, but I really liked it. But this album, like, I didn't realize why you picked this one until I actually read it, and I was like, oh my god, this is some crazy ass shit. Like, so why don't you go ahead and tell us what's the thing behind it?
Well, essentially, the album came to light after a trip that Omar had gone to. He had gone to Jerusalem, and he picked up a Ouija board as a present for Cedric. And they would return from their tour bus after they played shows, and they would do these post-show rituals with this Ouija board. And they started calling this Ouija board the Soothsayer. And right around the time when they were doing all this, really weird shit started happening. For example, like, while they were recording this album, they had like 3 or 4 different hard drives and computers blow up unannounced, or like one of them started on fire. Some of them got erased, and their sound engineer had like a crazy nervous breakdown where he was threatening to erase all the tapes because he thought they were cursed. Like, just this crazy shit that happened all along this. And they built this whole album around this Ouija board. And about just the crazy shit that comes along with, like, fucking around with the I guess you could say, the dead.
Man, that's goofy as fuck. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm not a huge believer in, like, superstitious stuff like that. But I mean, there's something to be said about coincidence and karma and things like that, things of that nature. And fucking with the dead can't be good for your karma. So
No. And they had issues with people like leaving while they were recording, because there was a quote that the sound engineer had, or he had said before he left, and he quit, and he stated, "Listen, I'm not going to help you make this album. You're doing something really bad with this, and you're trying to make me crazy, and you're trying to make people crazy by making this album." This is like a quote from this guy. So something was going on that was more like extra.
It definitely got into his head.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yeah, not only that, but they would do this Ouija board, and they would have to get like interpreters, because like they would see some stuff in like different languages like Hebrew and Latin, and like one of them, like, they had some translator who just like came up and was like, "Hey man, here's your money back. I don't want any part of this. This is some crazy ass shit. Like, I just translated a bunch of some shit that I don't want any part of. Here's your money. I'm out." Like,
yep, exactly. They're like, "I'm not going to fuck with this at all."
Exactly.
So, yeah. So if you know the Mars Volta, you know that they're really they go over the top. Like, their vocab, like, you know, when you're a kid and you were in elementary school and you say you were writing like a paragraph, and the teacher comes back and said, "Oh, well, you use the word really or very," and she goes, "Okay, well, why don't you spice it up by using some synonyms?" And so you go through and you change all the words to like the most interesting words you can find, and it doesn't make sense, but it's like it looks pretty on the outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And the Mars Volta is really, really good at that. Like, because they use these terms that are so like built up and like engorged, I guess you could call it, in like a very grimy, disgusting way.
Yeah.
For example, like one of the songs on the album is called Abernkilla.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked this up, it was this is, and I'm going to quote this: Abernkilla is based around the band playing cards and then performing surgery on a person, finding odd objects inside of the body. Like, this is the really fucked up shit that they write songs about. And I don't know if it just says something about me as a person, but I love it.
No, it's super fucking like. I'm drinking the punch with you, Ben.
Yeah,
I really do.
You're a sucker for the obscure.
I like that kind of shit.
And that's.
I like the absurdum and the obscure.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I mean, prog rock's not my genre, so this is not like something that I'm extra familiar with. And
right.
First time I've heard this album was a couple weeks ago when Shane told me that this is what you wanted to listen to. But then I've had it basically on loop for the past 48 hours.
Right, same.
I mean,
I needed to practice up for this one.
I just needed to understand what I was listening to, and I still probably don't. To be perfectly honest,
I probably listened to it 150 to 200 times over since I had it since 2008, and I still don't understand it.
Yeah. You know what really pissed me off is yesterday I was on the we had a golf tournament to play in. And I was listening to this album on loop while I was playing golf, and I was like, God damn it, why isn't Ben here? I had a really shitty partner. I was like, God damn it, I wish Ben was here to fucking at least drink beer with me or play badly.
Hey, I'm like a 4 handicap, so I'm pretty
shit.
good.
Yeah, no, you were a lot better than my fucking partner.
I think I've played golf like twice.
At least we could jam this album together and fuck this off.
Right.
Okay.
So, also what was really cool about the release of this album, too, is they actually released a point-and-click game.
What?
With this, it's called... I swear, it's called Goliath the Soothsayer.
That's fucking ridiculous.
I actually started playing it yesterday.
Okay.
And it is very interesting, and it's very disgusting, and it is very grimy and gross, and reminds me of a horror movie.
That sounds fantastic.
Does it play the music in the background?
No, it was just like a legitimate game, like a Flash game. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking, like a Flash game. But does it have the album playing in the background?
No, it doesn't.
Boo.
Which is strange, right?
That still sounds fantastic.
That's fucking cool.
What you described made me think of Super Meat Boy, where it's just fucking meat and blood all over the place, and so it's super
everything's
dirty,
dripping with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the game you played is. I don't know what the game surrounding this is but what you described made me think of Super Meat Boy, and I feel like that suits kind of the tone they're going for. It's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And anyway.
Yeah, so they also released 6 webisodes, I guess you could call them, on different platforms for different songs. Like they did one for Wax and Milkura, they did one for Abernkilla, they did one for Goliath, Asclepios, and Ilyena. And they were all short music videos that are all really fucked up.
All right.
Just so crazy.
So that's definitely something to check out in the future, because I didn't do research. I just listened. That's what I do. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of guy that goes out and searches for extra information. I mean, I'll pull up the Genius page or whatever, but I'm lazy.
Yeah. So because that's why I texted you the other day. I was like, "You're gonna fucking love this." Then it may not be your genre, but at least it's really interesting.
No, man, I certainly enjoyed listening to it. This album, for me anyway, this album is one of the things that I thought was interesting was it's hard to tell when songs end and when they begin.
Mm-hmm.
Like it flows in a way that is they try to be, or I don't know if they're trying to be, but it feels like they're trying to be kind of seamless. I mean, there's a few songs at the end where you get like those weird modem noises and shit, and that tells you like, hey, the song's ending and there's another one starting. But at the same time,
but that's Mars Volta's bag.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme.
But at
like
the
that's
same
what they do,
time,
man.
like,
Is that they're they make when they make an album, they make an album. Like it's hard to tell when shit stops or starts.
So they're really good at that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that because of that, it makes it really difficult to discern which songs I like and which songs I don't. Because at the same time, certain songs will come full stop and start a whole new tempo or a whole new time signature right off the bat, and it's the same song. So they're crazy, and this is a band I'm not familiar with. So like anybody that's listened to this band is probably going, well, duh. But like it's new for me.
Ben and I are both rolling our eyes.
Right.
A little bit.
But it's new for me because I'm not really super prog rock. Like I'm a blues and classic rock kind of dude. Like I listen
you're
to
a SRV type of guy, right?
Oh, for sure. Like I grew up listening to all the same shit that my dad listens to. So Stevie Ray and like I've probably seen ZZ Top like 6 times. Like I mean, being from Texas and the fact that they tour everywhere in Texas pretty much all the time.
Right.
I've seen them a lot. So this is out of the ballpark for me, but I thought it was I think it takes skill to craft that kind of a thing. And while it's not Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say
I was just going to comment that my first introduction to like progressive and experimental rock was actually the band called Yes.
Okay.
Which is one of my dad's favorite bands. So I like you got introduced to the same shit that my dad listened to. You know,
for sure.
Like King Crimson, Crosby, Stills, Nash Young, you name it. Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yeah.
Carnival No. 9 was like one of the first songs I remember hearing as a kid.
Ben, I want to hang out with your dad.
That's awesome.
My dad's really cool. My dad's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My dad let me listen to like Pink Floyd and stuff, like which is prog rock. Like we used to go on like trips and stuff, and like we had 3 albums, and it was Jimmy Buffett Live, Pink Floyd The Wall, and Lynyrd Skynyrd. And so
it's an easy one to remember, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But before I moved to right before I moved to Indiana, I traded pickup trucks with my dad, and I drove all the way up to Indiana with Shane, so we had shit plugged into the auxiliary port the whole time, and you know, I didn't realize until I had already moved up here, and I was going down the road one day and I lost phone reception, and so I was like, all right, let's see if there's a CD in here, and my dad left a CD in the truck, which was fantastic. It was fucking Buddy Holly, and
wow, that's a little bit.
Oh shit! Well, I'm listening to Buddy Holly for the next hour.
Yep, I can get behind that.
Hey man, it's good stuff. So, you know, like, my dad wasn't crazy into like King Crimson or anything like that, but it's stuff that I've heard along the way. It's just never been my bag of tricks, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a acquired taste. Same thing with Mars Volta. It's a very acquired taste.
For sure.
You gotta like that prog rock.
That being said, I can totally appreciate what they're going for here.
Right.
And the ability to stack songs one on top of each other the way they do and create an entire album rather than just a song is pretty interesting.
Yeah, they base it a lot on concept, because I know we're talking about Bedlam and Goliath, but Delos and the Comatorium is a very similar concept is, one of their sound engineers had died shortly before they had released Tremulant, I believe, which was their first EP. And so they wrote Deloused about his dying from a drug overdose and all the stages and things that you go through as you're dying. And they made this whole like novella around it. And I mean, these are the types of like geniuses that the Mars Volta is. Omar goes in and he essentially writes the whole album, musically the whole album, and Cedric comes in and puts these crazy ass lyrics on them. And that's I've always referred to it as like a wall of sound, because you have so many different sounds and themes going at you at one time, and it's hard to sort of wade through it half of the time, but it's usually all so good.
Yeah, that makes
for
sense.
sure. And wasn't like Francis the Mute based on like somebody had their car washed and then one of the guys who was a muted person like left his diary in their car and they read it and then wrote the album because of that? Something like that?
It was something similar to that. Yeah, it was what is it? Let me look this up real quick.
Oh, okay.
So as I was looking this up,
Sorry.
And now that I read it, it sounds more familiar. But there are a couple of themes with the song names that were taken from messages given by the soothsayer or the Ouija board, and there were also excerpts from poems that were found attached to the Ouija board, describing a love triangle between a woman, her daughter, and a man in a Muslim society, and the honor killing associated with these people. So, I mean, it's a really fucked up concept, but it's all built from actual real life things that these guys found or they concocted. So,
okay. So this is so then this is a concept album made off of just like fucked up shit that they researched because they came across this weird Ouija board that led them to these weird things.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Shane, you're there too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, did you guys have a favorite song off the album? I know that we were talking about how it's hard to discern what song is what, but
before we get to that, what I've read also was that basically Goliath is like a spirit that tells a story, and it's like a psyche or a schizophrenic person that has like this male, female, and then the mom dominating the story, and then basically what they did was they tried to tell the story of the mother and the woman.
Yes.
But this domineering spirit is like cursing them, and that's why they had like all these problems. Like they're like one of the guys had like a broken foot that turned out to have like major foot surgery. The fucking the studio flooded one day. The drummer quit, and then like you were saying earlier that the tracks were just disappearing. Like they couldn't understand like what was going on. And I think through this Ouija board, they came into this spirit that it would basically curse them. Like kind of like
Hey,
I don't know if y'all have ever read any like.
So real quick, I just brought this album up on Genius, and it lists up to 18 tracks. The one I had on Spotify was up to Conjugal Burns. That's number 12. Is that what?
Yeah, that's as far as I got.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there were 7 bonus tracks and B-sides that were released with different types of platforms. Like for example,
we're not going to talk about the bonus.
They had a couple that were no. I'm not talking about them.
Okay.
They're mostly all covers.
All right.
Oh, okay.
All right, cool. Because I just pulled up this thing and I was like, I pulled it up just to have some extra reminders of what the fuck was going on in some of these songs.
Right.
And I was just like, 13 through 18 was not on this album. Okay.
Yeah, no, Conjugal Birds is the last one.
Okay, good to know.
Honestly, when I think of this album, especially like reading what they went through and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if y'all have ever read any H.P. Lovecraft, but there's a short story by him called Nyarlathotep.
No, I have never read them, but
yeah, he's basically like some kind of like ancient Egyptian ruler that would just like fuck people up. Like they would all have like when he went to a town, like everybody had like couldn't sleep at night. They all had nightmares.
Kind
of
of
was
like
crazy into like electricity and stuff like that.
Kind of like a god of chaos.
Somewhat, yeah. And that's what like makes me think of this. Is like this Goliath, as they call him, is like this male figure who's putting down two other people who are trying to tell a story, and then by them listening to the women's story, he cursed them. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? And that's why they have these problems.
For essentially interfering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, women don't speak, and once you're telling their story, like, no, fuck that, I'm gonna fuck you up because women don't.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think, and that brings a lot of, I'm not too versed in Muslim culture, but I have from what I do know, I know that there's different roles as far as, obviously we're in the United States, but a lot of these Middle Eastern countries, they have different gender roles, and they have different, expectations of what men and women are supposed to do. So it's sort of a hard concept to grasp sometimes. But it also makes sense.
In our society, it's just one of those things where it's kind of like nutso, but we don't know what they're going through. But
right, exactly. It's hard to judge.
And that's why I feel like I can't wrap my mind around a lot of the songs. Like there are some where I can hear what they're saying, but I can't really grasp. I can dig my teeth into what is going on because I'm just so ignorant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then to get back to Ben's question, Shane, what did you like? What songs did you feel?
So you want to do a top three? Okay, we'll do top three. My number one is Goliath, for sure. I think it moves a lot. I like the that point where he says, "Never heard a man speak like this man before." I think that's a really rousing part of the album.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. It's very descriptive of Goliath, and I think.
No, absolutely. I think that's like I feel. We'll get to the song when we get there, but I want to say I have it in my notes that it feels like they're all trying to speak at one time, but then he hushes them. Like
right.
I don't know. Number two is Soothsayer.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah.
I think it's just a solid song. Like they kept with the same tempo, which is weird for them to keep the same. They didn't really change anything up too much until the end.
Right.
And then Agadez.
Yeah.
That's my number three.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you think, Ben? Top three.
My top three: Ilyana.
All right.
Okay.
Ouroboros.
Yeah.
And Conjugal Burns.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. I like that. We have different fucking thoughts. All right. Cool.
Man, Ben, you think pretty well like I do.
Yeah.
I gotta throw Goliath in there. I do agree with Shane that's that's gotta be on my top three. But Ouroboros is definitely in there too, and then Ilyana and Conjugal Burns, that's kind of the switch in, but probably Ilyana.
It's named after Helen Mirren.
Man, yeah. I don't know.
I've got notes on every song, dog.
I honestly think it's because I heard Conjugal Burns less. Because I would put this thing on loop, but half the time I'm starting it fresh, So I think I heard Ilyana a lot, probably 3 or 4 more times more than I heard Conjugal Burns. But Ouroboros and Goliath were just comebacks. Those Tourniquet Man 2 was good, and Cavaletas. This song had some good songs on it. It also had. man, to be perfectly honest, Agades and Asclepios were kind of in that realm of lost.
They can get lost.
They were kind of lost in the mix to me. Like,
yeah.
Between Cavaletas and Ouroboros, like, I could tell when those songs began, I could tell when Cavaletas began and Ouroboros ended and went into Soothsayer, which Soothsayer was a fun song too. But the in-between two just kind of got lost in between all that, which I think is to the talent of this band is what they did is they made two songs get lost in me listening to two of the songs that I really liked.
Right.
So that
track listing was probably good.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I don't know, not my favorite album I've ever listened to, but far and away one that is interesting in a way that makes you rethink how albums are put together.
Yeah, I think it's a different thought process that these guys go through, and and I'm going to assume that they're just a hell of a lot smarter and more versed than I am to catch on and know those things, and to know me as the listener and the consumer, like how I'm going to take it.
For sure.
And I think that they're just really good at that. I mean, and to your comment about it's not the best album you've ever heard, I'm totally in agreement with that too, because I think that Mars Volta has a couple different albums that are better than this, so I'm in total agreement.
Yeah, but I do like I'm glad you picked this one because I didn't know the backstory, and I think when you said that this is the one you want to listen to or the one you requested because it had a story behind it, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I almost like the story behind it more than I like the music itself. So, I mean,
it's understandable.
It's still one of my favorite albums, but it's also not the best either.
For sure.
There are a couple songs on there that could, I mean, that I would be okay with or without. You know, I don't really have a problem with that. So
for sure. Okay, well let's. I kind of meshed all of our three top threes, and so let's go ahead and start with the one that y'all agree with, which is Ileana.
There you go. By the way, did you guys get to see Mega Ran?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there.
I was fucking lost in space.
In fact, he's going to be here October. He's going to be in San Antonio on October the 5th, and I was going to go check him out.
He's from Phoenix, so I've had a couple of chances to see him, but I never did. He's actually good friends with one of my friends from high school. So,
really?
Yeah, he books his shows in the West Coast, so. Probably
actually, December 6th or 7th, I believe.
I think it's the 8th, actually.
Minus the Bear. God damn it.
Minus the Bear.
Minus the Bear. Thank you, Andrew. They're going to be in Austin for their final tour that you posted, Ben.
Yeah.
And
don't remind me.
I was kind of gonna fucking set up shop. I was gonna buy hotels for everybody. And Ben, if you want to fucking fly in and fucking hang out for my
that'd be great.
birthday weekend, you mostly can.
Dog.
Hell yeah, dude.
Austin, Texas is one of the most fun cities there is around.
My sister-in-law lives there, so I could probably roll down there for sure.
Right on, man. When it gets a little closer, I'll start making plans and shit.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a meet and greet with them, with Minus the Bear, when they're here in town, so.
Nice.
I don't know what day it is. I think it's December 12th. It's shortly after they're in Austin. I know that.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, I'm pretty excited about that. But I'm also really, really bummed, too. It's very bittersweet.
Yeah, it hurts.
Yeah. That's sort of like when the Mars Volta broke up. It was like, oh, man.
Oh, it hurts. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Anyway.
Back
to, we're doing Ileana.
Yeah.
Ileana. Yeah.
What do you think, guys?
It's one of my favorite songs, and the video that goes with it is also fucking hilarious as well. It's got a strange, almost a strange build up to it. and it's got a strange beat.
For sure.
I don't know what else to say about it, really.
Sure.
Yeah, it was written for Helen Mirren. It does have an odd start but I love like that crackling sound, and it sounds like the last song on. It sounds like the Fiab de Ode by Tool, where he's talking about the aliens and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like kind of like that sound.
Well, because Tool, especially Lateralus, right? That one was a pretty heavy conceptual album as well, right? There was a lot of little tweaks and things that they made to the album. I remember Kyle telling me about it one day. I'm totally gonna smoke bomb right here, but I'm really not familiar with Tool, so
okay.
I might not get the reference.
Yeah, there's one song. It's that whatever I said. It's about like this recording of some guy who's working for the government, and he's like seeing aliens and he's freaking the fuck out. But that crackling sound that starts the beginning of the song, that's what it reminded me of, was like that popping like confession that this guy's making in that Tool song.
Almost like if you have a shitty needle on your record player, how it crackles.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this one has it's got a great funky sound for the most part, and then I feel like the drummer really like shows his skills on this song. Like, you don't really hear him.
I think the drummer is a huge part of this band. Like, I think we've praised bass players in the past for being so versatile and so amazing, and I think the drummer in this band is what does it for here.
So
the bass player's good.
A little go ahead.
The bass player's good, but he's not. The drummer in this band does what the bass player does in some of the other bands that we've talked about.
Well, like in Talking Heads.
The more crazy part about it is Thomas Pridgeon, who was the drummer on this. He only had 3 weeks to learn all these songs before they recorded.
Well, that's really fucking impressive.
And I think he was only like 18 or 19 when this was recorded. I mean, this guy was fucking nuts.
Well, that's
they picked him up early, and from what I remember reading was that he was like in a gospel blues stuff, and he like just came out and knocked it out of the park. And I don't think he was 19. I think he was like 20 or 22 or something like that. But But because the drummer quit during the recording of this album because he was so freaked the fuck out or something like that.
I think his name was D'Antoni Parks.
Yeah.
And he had been with them for Amputecture, Francis the Mute, and I don't think he was there for Deloused, but
I don't think so either.
All right.
But I know he was there for Francis the Mute.
Yeah, he was.
Let's see here.
Also, there was at about the 4:20 mark, there's a fun change cut. It has that stop and beat charge, and then it changes to like a real tribal sound, which is really fun.
Yeah. And the crazy part too about this mark is I always try to think, right? I always try to like gauge when the beat's going to come back in, and I get it wrong every fucking time.
Yeah.
So it's like off beat and it's like off key.
Yeah, I feel like that's common with this whole album though. Is you expect the song to change and then it's the same song, and then they kind of like fuck into another song, and I mean right up until the end, like towards the end, then they introduce like the modem sounds in between songs and shit like that, so you have a pretty good idea. But right there at the beginning, they just kind of like they're very smooth in their transition, and I feel like there's more difference in between different parts of songs than there are in transitioning between song to song with like the first half of the album, I would say, and right up until you get about to Tourniquet Man is pretty distinct, and then like Cavaletas is pretty distinct, and then Agadas and Asclepios right into Ouroboros is like one of those transition periods where you don't even notice those two songs. Like, they just disappear in the album. That being said, sure. Ouroboros is like, man, that's a good song.
It's a very strange one too.
You know when it hits, but it's got that song, they come in with the double bass and just they just knock your fucking ears off right out of the gate and just go
especially with the percussion.
Yeah.
Because not only is it drums, but they also have like bongos or other types of drums in the back as well. So it's like driven by drums, whole song, like start to finish.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and Ouroboros, for sure. Ouroboros has a great transition, and it's fast paced.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things. I didn't mean to skip us all the way down that far on the album, but
I'm actually going through like the top songs that y'all went through, and Ouroboros are number 2, so we can just roll into that one.
Well, it's good shit.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of fun, and
I love this song. It has such a great transition from the last song from Skeptios. And then I've got some more conceptual things to talk about, but it's a great song.
I was more impressed with Cedric's vocal range in this song more than anything, because it starts out where he's like, it's real low and gravelly, and then it turns into like this very, very high soprano, like midway through the song, and it shows his vocal register that, you know, it can change on such a dime.
Yeah, it did. Was it I feel like, so like you were talking about like how this song was about, well, I mentioned that this song about like a schizophrenic person that has 3 people in them. Mm-hmm. And so this song, I feel, is like, it starts out as the Goliath, the male figure doing stuff. And this in my notes it says, this is a song of a hangman, one who burns the family of someone that was a traitor. And then at that it says, don't you ever trust my mercy. Mm-hmm. So like that's what you would call like a cutthroat or something like that. Yeah. And there's this mood change at about 4 minutes and 45 seconds into it. About that time, and I feel like it changes perspective from the Goliath to like the mother.
Yeah, I think it's different people for different verses is the way, or almost like having a conversation between each other. But it's more thematic, coming from one person in each of the different verses. If you follow me,
for sure,
I do.
Like it's taken from different points of view in different verses.
Yeah, it's like the same situation, but different people are telling their story on that same situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree. Andrew, what do you think, Bubba?
I thought it came in with a kind of a hard hitting setup, and then it was just one of those things that it defined itself. It was one of those songs that define themselves amongst the group. And so while I think this band does a really good job, particularly with this album, because I'm not familiar with the others, but they do a very good job of melding everything. Ouroboros kind of sticks out with the fast pace, like the double bass kick and all that stuff.
Driving drums.
Right. It comes in driving, and it's also towards the end of the album where they've started defining their tracks a little more distinctively. Mm-hmm. So they add in like kind of those weird modem sounds and stuff like that, and it lets you know when something's coming.
Yeah, and there's a lot of closer towards the end. There starts to be a lot of like voice modulation.
Yeah,
and it starts sounding like almost like you know, if you like suck, you know, like the reverse of sucking in helium, like when it's low and growly. Right. They modulate it to where it sounds like almost demonic.
Okay, right. So voice modulation is very much a thing on this album. They do it both high and low. it's one of those things where the high doesn't come in as noticeable as the low does because we hear low frequencies better than we do high frequencies as humans.
Mm-hmm.
But modulation is something they do subtly, almost. It's not quite subtle, but it's right on that kind of cusp, and it's kind of interesting the way they alter their voices, and they do alter their voices in this, just not greatly. It's not like we're not putting autotune on this shit. We're adding like a reverb, or we're adding like a
right.
But we are adding something.
Yeah, there's a definite layer over it that I don't really know to I don't know how to put my finger on it.
Right. I'm not a great artist, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know enough about sound to speculate.
Yeah, they do have like this crazy, like he always has this like augmentation on his voice, whether it goes high or low. Mm-hmm. And that's like a staple for that band. Like that's what he does.
That's not to say he's not talented in his own right, but he does.
No, not at all. Because like
he can
get the highs real high.
Right, but he does like to use some kind of voice modulation in with everything else.
Well, Shane, you might know it more than Andrew, but if you recall, in the album Francis the Mute, Cassandra Gemini is a completely voice modulated song. Absolutely.
And I'm also thinking of the was it Elia? Elia, dun, 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 dun.
Oh, Elvia Kez.
Elvia, yes. Where he does the like where he hits it real high.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best songs.
Yeah. No, but he's like, but that's what he does. Like he hits like those high notes really easily.
Yeah, Cedric is known for his high registered voice more than anything. I mean, even going back to At the Drive-In, and early Mars Volta stuff. And now, later on, he also did a project with Omar called Antimask, where he sung in very high register as well. So he's known for it. So you don't really expect him to go in the low registers that often, but when he does it really well.
He does, and that's what impresses me on this album. Is like I don't remember him hitting those low notes in like any other album that he's done before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just doesn't really have that voice. I mean, he's got that voice to hit the fucking high notes, but he's not. I don't know. He doesn't seem terribly versed in the low range. He doesn't seem like a baritone in any way, shape, or form. So if he can pull those off, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was when I seen them a couple times. I saw them 4 different times, and every time that Cedric would come on stage, he would have people making him hot tea while they were playing the show, and he would drink the tea because he didn't want to fuck his voice up.
Exactly.
So it's like
you gotta loosen.
At least he's smart about it.
Just gotta loosen the throat. Dig a little deeper.
Get those high notes.
I think of that. When somebody talks about high notes, I think of that Tenacious D skit where the fucking dude from he's like, "Hey man, you gotta drink semen." Seem like Rod Stewart.
It helps. I swear to God, it helps. Man, swear to God.
Makes thing of Rod Stewart.
Asking for a friend, right?
No, he tried to sell him.
No, just try it.
Close throat, man. Anyway, so let's go on to our third. I guess our third favorite song of us is Goliath.
Goliath, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's another one of those fast songs.
Man, Goliath changes a couple times in the middle of the song. So, this is one of those that's just like when it really hits me is towards the end. There's a middle portion that's really good, and then the end portion is I've never heard a man talk like this before, like that kind of thing.
All the days of my life
I've
been born.
Right. Never heard a man speak like this before.
Right. So that's
watch me now.
Watch me now.
Watch me now.
Good old James Brown coming out right there, but that's where this song gets me. Is right there at the end. But I this is one of my faves, so I really enjoy this one.
Yeah, when I first listened to this album back in 2008, Goliath was one of the original songs that hooked me, and I mean it was really it was my favorite for a really long time until I started listening to it fully through over and over and over again, and I got drawn to different songs. But this, in no way, shape, or form, is not a bad song at all.
Not even a little bit.
There's a line in it, actually, that's my favorite line on the album, and I always sing this one when it comes up, but the line goes, did you catch the left eye when it blinks 3 times, but once just to seal you in?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that line. I fucking love that line.
And so what I think about this song is that I feel like they were talking about 3 different spirits that encapsulated the Goliath. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is her telling her story about how she killed the Goliath, like the wife, I guess, or the woman, I guess, kills the guy, and then he in turn curses her, and this is his telling the story of his death by betrayal, and he hears the voice, and then you hear that voice, and then at the break, and then never heard a man speak like this before is like their reaction to his death. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense, okay. like so he's like they poisoned and killed him, and then he was pissed off, like cause like the foaming at the mouth and all that kind of stuff, and then this is the women's reaction to his death because they poisoned and killed him. So I don't know, just my thoughts.
Yeah, there's another line that explains that really closely to that. Let me look it up real quick.
For sure. I don't know, man. I got like real sucked into like trying to figure out the story about like why there's a dude and the girls, and I was trying to like each song I'm trying to like hammer out what's going on and all that kind of stuff. But then the fucking music itself just sucks me in.
Okay, so here's the line that explains what you just said really well. The line goes, "For the rest of your pets, I will feed to this theft as we consummate the vows of defeat, and when you pray for an end to this, I do believe this is eternity." Yeah. So essentially it's, you killed me, I'm gonna fucking haunt you the rest of your life.
Absolutely. And I think that's like the Goliath dying and then cursing everything from then on. Mm-hmm. Like, especially this album.
Oh man, yeah. It's just, they use such good descriptors in this song, and it speaks to me, and it tells the story. And when they talk about things like, when you refer to a dead body as like a corpse, I sort of get like a weird uneasy feeling. And they do that a lot in this album. Like, I get the craziest uneasy feeling when I hear about these stories and when I think about, existentially what they're trying to tell me.
No, it's very dark and brooding, for sure. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's what they went through, you know what I mean? Like, so they're like creeped the fuck out themselves.
Right.
So, it's kind of all kinds of fucked up.
Especially, okay, here's another line that makes me feel really uncomfortable again. "I'm starting to feel a miscarriage coming on. It's numbing, a stump clearing in my throat, and I just can't lose grip of it. She fumigated my mental hygiene, and I'm all out of pulse, but I know you can resuscitate me." Like, that is a very disgusting line.
Yeah, that's like creepy fucking, like, on the nose, but like, dark.
And he screams it too. He goes, mm-hmm. "I'm starting to feel a miscarriage coming on." It's like, ugh, it makes me shiver. Yeah, man. It's gross.
This whole album is fucking haunting, for sure. Like, it's like when I was listening to it before, I read the story before it, I was like, man, there's some like fucked up Imhotep kind of crazy shit going on, and I can't figure it out. Like, and then once I read the story, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's very cultish.
Yeah, it really is. Mm-hmm. It's some fucking like some like Arkham Horror kind of shit or Call of Cthulhu shit going on here. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Now that we're talking about Goliath, I feel like it's tied with my third. Like, I feel like it should go in the top 3 now because it's such a good song.
That's a fucking hell of a song because, man, it like changes, like it feels like it changes perspective, and every time they change perspective, like the mood changes in the song itself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it feels like 3 people are talking, and that's why it has like 3 different movements. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially when it changes the second time where it's like, say it loud, hold your heavy, Bedalm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That whole third, I guess, act, I would call it, or third movement. Third movement. Yeah. No, I'm with you. It changes multiple times, and the sound changes, and also like the time signature almost changes as well. It's very crazy. I think it's called like polyrhythmic, where you have multiple multiple time signatures in one song.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Dude, yeah. Have you ever seen Interstellar 5555?
You're saying a lot of words and numbers that I don't know about.
You've never heard of it? Interstellar? That's what they call it.
Negative.
It is an anime movie that Daft Punk made that was for the album Discovery.
Oh, isn't it just all the music videos they put together? Yeah, it had like Digital Love and fucking yeah, where they're like
they're aliens and
one more time, and then they take over the fucking like somebody drops in and they fucking like take over the fucking band, and then Digital Love was like the dude who escaped, and he's talking about the girl, and then I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know I didn't know they called it that, but I've seen all of them. Yes,
they're
absolutely
really good.
The blue skin people.
Yeah, the aliens.
Yeah, and then they fucking like they come down and pick up the band, and they take him off, and then the guy was left behind, but the girl's gone, and like he has to go fucking fuck yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh yeah, you know what? Now I think about it, it was on they did a whole thing on Toonami back in 2001 or 2002, where they had all of the fucking episodes back to back, and they did all the Daft Punk songs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Oh Ben, I miss you.
I know, I miss you guys too. Fuck, I can't wait until March.
Oh, I want to cuddle right now.
Right? I know. Now, if I'm ever out in Austin, which I'm supposed to be going here in the next couple of months, I'm gonna fucking roll by your town. I'm just gonna tell you that right now.
I'm about 4 motherfucking hours away from Austin. But if you go to Austin, I will fucking get there and be with you.
What were we talking about, Shane?
We were talking about the Goliath song.
We were. Oh, I thought you were talking about Daft Punk.
I mean, we could add that Daft Punk shit. That'd be fucking awesome. Okay, well, we're done with Goliath, so let's go ahead and move on to the song Conjugal Burns.
Ooh, this one's really gross and dirty too.
It really is. Mm-hmm. Alright, who's gonna start?
Go for it, Shane.
Okay, I feel like it's a slow and dizzy start. Mm-hmm. I feel like this song is about, it's about wanting, the woman that they talked about, wanting to have her story told, and without this, she can never rest. Mm-hmm. So here's the line that, where I am now, the music has faded. Where am I now that the music has faded? Without having the music, she couldn't have her story told. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like this is her last plea, like her pleading to please tell the world about what I've done. So it's, like I said, it starts slow and dizzy, about a 2:20, it picks up, and then,
the first line in the song sort of explains the story. It brings it full circle, because it's like, I think she's realizing that she deserved everything that she got. She killed this dude. Like, the horsemen you have brought deserve me. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like it's sort of like a time of reckoning. Like, okay, I deserve this. I'm getting exactly what I deserved.
Maybe, but maybe that was like a trained thought. Like he was a fucking asshole. You know what I mean?
True.
Like he was a Goliath.
Right.
And so like maybe in that culture at that time that she was in, that maybe like she does feel like she deserves this.
Mm-hmm.
But at the 5-minute mark, there's some weird ass sounds, and I feel like that's where like the Goliath is trying to interrupt and silence her pleading, like her. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he's trying to speak above her. You know what I mean? Like trying to cut her off.
Yeah. That the line, all of this time, bedsore containment. Where am I now that the music is faded? That is like one of them. It's like the centerpiece of the song, and it's repeated like 3 or 4 different in different places, and it's always sort of like the callback to the theme of this particular song. I mean, as far as thematically, I think you're correct, and I'm in agreement. Yeah, there's a line that's I got a pain inside that'll rip right through the very fabric of time. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
I think so too.
And and like I said earlier, he like screams it, like almost in agony.
For sure.
So, like I said, this is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. If this isn't 1 or 2.
Okay. So, we've gone through y'all's top 3. So there's two that I wanted to talk about for sure. The first one is Agadez. I think that's the opening. Or no, it's the Agadez. It's.
I always knew that you would scratch that itch.
Yeah, man, like Agadez, man. I didn't realize it was like a fucking actual tower. It was like a fucking actual building. Yeah. And once I realized that, I was like, holy shit! Like this is like some fucking oh.
There we go.
Let's go through the Soothsayer.
Okay.
Oh boy. This is the most arranged song on the album by far.
I completely agree.
That makes sense.
There is a whole string composition and arrangement. There's a cello, a violin, a viola, and a double bass. All on this song, where they don't exist in any of the other songs.
Right, so they brought in a 4-piece string quartet just for this guy.
And for sure, I feel like this song is the most straightforward song musically on the album. Like, as it doesn't stop, and it has that beautiful like Middle Eastern intro, and like it sounds like a mosque prayer at the beginning and at the end.
Yeah.
And then at about the 2-minute mark, it just kind of changes paces, and I feel like this song was something that they needed to do to cleanse the album, because they had so many like mess ups and stuff like that, like with the whole haunting thing. I think
Holy
this
shit.
is the...
I just realized something.
What's up?
We're talking about an album that had a lot of bad karma associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why we're having so many audio problems with Andrew's computer.
Oh. God damn it.
Oh man, I hope it's the album. I hope it's the computer.
The soothsayer is behind all this shit.
Like, man, I have to switch between audio inputs on the reg to hear everything y'all are saying. It's ridiculous.
Mm.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, don't get me wrong, my Audacity picks all of it up, no matter what channel it's on. So,
Exactly.
I will hear the entire thing eventually. Like, I'm gonna hear the entire thing eventually. It's just not gonna be today.
Andrew's a bitch.
No, I heard that, motherfucker. It's gonna give me shit that you don't want me to hear. It's just not gonna
Rise in the shower.
Only sometimes.
He wipes front to back. Sorry.
No, that's a great insult. It's not true. I do, however, wipe standing up because I'm one of those people.
Savage.
I just hit my butt cheek.
Hey man, there's a little less chance of me getting doo-doo water on my hand, and it's not like when I stand up my butt cheeks are slamming shut like some people seem to think. Like Like they don't come in with like the wall of force that is.
You're not doing like the breaststroke where you slam your fucking ankles together or anything like that.
Like,
I get it.
I can still reach my hand in with some toilet paper and wipe my butthole without it being like a complete mess, which is what I feel like people that criticize us standards fail to realize. Like, I can still stand up without being a gaping asshole or being a completely shut tight asshole. It's just one of those things, man.
Well, fuck all that noise.
Lost
Fuck all that noise.
Damn it.
You can just sit down and get you some fucking baby wipes. That's the fucking way to go. Fuck toilet paper. Baby wipes are the way to go.
For real though, they're all over my house.
For real though, like why would you do anything less?
Yeah, yeah.
I got kids. I got kids too, Ben. I fucking get it. Like, I wipe my ass with a baby fucking wipe. I'll never go back to toilet paper. I'll never go back.
Yo, I've always wanted to get one of those bidets, though. I've never used one, but I hear they're fucking life-changing.
They fucking really are, though. They really are, man. I was in a hostel in Spain, and they had a bidet, and fuck me, like, it was fucking amazing. Like,
you look forward to it every time you went to the fucking shitter.
I did it twice in one day.
There you go.
I was like, hey, man, I gotta fucking shit. If I'm gonna shit again, I'm gonna shit in here before we leave. That was some life-changing shit.
Oh, fuck. Crazy.
Anyway. So,
yes, they have attachments that you can put on your toilet.
For sure.
Instead of getting a legitimate bidet.
The problem is, I now live with my friend and her son, and that
I feel like that would make it.
That little fucker would be drinking from it like a goddamn water fountain.
Like, my butthole's been on in there.
And I'm not going to tell him either way. Like, my butthole's been there, but I'll let him drink from it. Like, fuck you.
How is my kid getting pink eye all the time?
Oh, man, weird. It was so weird.
I don't know.
Might need more iodine.
A little bit. Only a little bit.
Anyway, do you want to talk about any of the songs on this album?
Yeah, let's see here. Pull up the old noties.
I don't know. I kind of feel like we went through the stuff that I was impressed with. So,
okay,
Metatron was fun. It was a great transition song, but it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, no, I did like Metatron, and
I certainly enjoyed it, but it was kind of like a transition song. It felt like that's what it was, and don't get me wrong, it was long as fuck. Yes. But it felt like it was still a kind of a transition song. I felt that same way about.
Well, before you move on, let me go. You're talking about Metatron?
Yeah. I felt like it was a great transition song. I thought,
but
it was one of those songs that I liked, but it wasn't one of the ones that I seriously connected with.
For sure, but this is literally the song I have the most notes for, so I'm going to go through them real quick.
Yeah,
it did have a great transition, and it was, I felt like this song was like a girl crying out for help, but being silenced by the Goliath for her transgressions of whatever she did. And so now at the, there's a neat mood change at about 3 minutes and 30 seconds into, and it slows down, and this is where I think she feels like she's being tortured in some way. And then about a minute later, it picks up, and it feels like that Goliath is pissed, and he's taking over the spirit, if you will. And then the folding wormholes, my time is writing in the alphabet. It's like that's
the best line in the song by far.
It really is, and it feels like she's like wanting her story told. If that makes sense.
Especially how the tone of that line where it's like folding wormholes. That's like melodic, like almost on the level of like a siren. Like
for sure.
Oh man, I love it.
It draws you in for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like her desperation of like her wanting her story to be told. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a. So Metatron is actually it's the name of an angel in Judaism, and some of the branches of Christianity as well. And it's supposed to what they say is it harbors the voice of God. So I think that aligns with harmonics pretty well. So.
Mm-hmm. And then there's also a line that says, accidents will happen, keep your earnings to yourself. Mm-hmm. I think that's like, this is her warning the band that shit is gonna go fucked up if you keep delving into this, like this, if you keep doing your fucking Ouija boards and shit, the shit's gonna go wrong. Accidents will happen, keep your earnings to yourself. And then they've had all these fucking problems, like, with, like, monetary wise and, like, shit just being fucked up.
Oh, man, yeah, that does say a lot.
With that, anything else you want to, I want to get into, Calavera.
Cavaletas.
Yes.
The longest song on the fucking album.
Yeah, this was a song where, I never figure out where the ending was.
Yeah, that goes right into Agadez, yep.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it was one that I never skipped.
Yeah.
I don't have notes.
So,
just,
Calavera is somebody who, like, wants their lover to be the person that they want them, that she desires.
Uh-huh.
Like, she's, like, she's disillusioning herself into what she wants out of whatever the fuck trash she finds. So think like Princess Jasmine with fucking Prince Aladdin. Yeah, with Aladdin. Like, oh yeah, he's everything I want. Yeah, no, babe. You're deluding yourself.
It's a genie made me what you want, so you're gonna like it, bitch. That kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's her more drinking the punch. I don't know. About. I like the start and stops of this song. Like it has this weird rhythmic timing where it like it has a real start and stop feel.
Yeah, this song is definitely bass driven. Like it's the most primary sound you hear. It's like a low growly bass line throughout the whole song. It's fucking so good.
Mm-hmm. And it again with the mythos of this song sounds like the mother and the Goliath arguing with one another, and they like change after like the refrain number 2, and then if you force me often I might jump off the board. I think that's like the mother saying like I'm going to get out of this motherfucking Ouija board.
Yeah, that there's that whole time change where it's like I am a DEF CON of Angora goats waiting. That whole complete time change. Oh shit! I don't know what that line means to tell you the truth, but it's very interesting.
And then he says he's coming for them. It's only a matter of folding time and space before I become your epidemic. I feel like that's where it changes from the mother to the Goliath. Like, he's coming for you. It's only a matter of time of folding space before I become your epidemic. Like, that's when he's gonna fucking haunt the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker, I'm coming for you.
Oh, yeah.
And also the piano outro is fucking amazing.
Where they end that, they end with that line.
Uh-huh.
Before I become your epidemic. Yeah, and then it's a piano outro and it goes into Agadez, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really fun. Beyond that, kind of I have to say, Wax, I just want to, real quick, the Wax
Simulacra?
Yeah, there you go.
That's, that song was actually named something different. It was called Idle Tooth for a long time.
Oh yeah.
I had seen it live a couple times before they came out with this album, and it was referred to as Idle Tooth.
I feel like this is like he's like pissed off, and he's like this is like the curse song. Mm-hmm. Like this feels like the Goliath is cursing them.
This was the song that I just kept forgetting was a part of the album.
Yeah. It's the shortest song. You probably wouldn't even realize it.
Right?
Like, I don't think I...
Good, Bob.
I just don't think I... Like Ben said, it's the shortest song, and I think it's really easy to forget. that it's even part of the album. And I think that's what it did for me, to be perfectly honest. I just kind of forgot it was there.
Yeah. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. This is one of the songs that really doesn't do anything for me either. So
I just liked how it has a hard opening, and then the horns are subtle but fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
I get that.
Mostly it sounds like this Goliath that they've talked to. Like, this feels like the curse like, this is the song of the curse that he placed upon the band. That's the only reason I bring it up.
Alright.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
Oh,
anyway.
Alright. I'm done with this album.
Yeah, kind of.
Anyway, guys, what do you think? If you were to rate this on 1 to 10, what do you feel?
If I were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 folding wormholes, I would have to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
All right.
Folding wormholes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was right there on a 7. So I feel like even this not being my genre, I still feel like I felt the same way about it. It's got good stuff. It's got bad stuff. It's all around. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I'd give it an 8.
Okay.
It's not the best Mars Volta, but it's definitely not the worst one I've heard.
Right.
That's understandable.
Nocturna gets a real piece of shit. I'm just saying that right now.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, they went all kinds of crazy on that one. That and what's the other one there?
Octahedron's pretty. Octahedron's got a couple good ones on there.
It's got some hits. Yeah. I mean, I'd give Octahedron like a solid 50.
6? Yeah.
And Empyreum, oof. I want it to be better than what it was, but I don't know.
I mean, when your first full album comes out and it's like a 10 out of 10, it's hard.
It's real hard to Yeah, it's hard to keep. Yeah. And that's how I feel like with like Kanye. Mm-hmm. Like Kanye, man, his first album was fucking solid. Yeah. Damn.
Sure.
How you gonna follow that up?
Well, and not only that, they had a bunch of people that were instrumental to them die. Like their keyboard sound engineer died before Deloused, and then before Nocturna hit, their keyboardist died.
Really?
It's crazy.
I didn't know that.
Ike. So anyway.
All
right, I'm done. I'm done with it.
Anyway. Well, go ahead, baby.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, go ahead.
No, sorry. Y'all cut out for a minute, and it's I don't know what the fuck's going on with my shit, but so there's a lot of parts that I'm just fucking missing.
Oh no.
I'll get to hear it
You'll
later.
find out in editing.
Yeah, I sure will.
We'll figure that out in post.
Alright, well, in that case, thanks for listening to Sad Panda Presents. This show is available on iTunes and Stitcher, and also sadpandapresents.com. You can find us at facebook.com/sadpandapresentspodcast. Feel free to check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Hit us up if you want to check us out an album. If you've made a suggestion and we haven't seen it, let us know. Facebook is the best place to do it. So until then, thanks for listening. I know this one was a little rough. Thanks again, and we'll see you later. Guys.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Ben, thank you so much for being on. If you don't know what Ben does, he's on Street Pizza Podcast. Please listen. They've done a couple episodes.
Yeah, a couple.
And they mentioned me highly. Ben's a big fan of me, and I'm a fan of that.
I still have to post the episode that you were on, that both of you were on.
We were on an episode?
Yeah, you guys called in.
Oh, you got
right.
Shane's call?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, both of you did.
Oh, man.
Dang.
Shane told me that his call didn't go through.
It did.
That's awesome.
No, my call didn't go through on Sean's
on Nerdy Thursday?
Nerdy Thursday, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
either way.
All right, well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so
we
much,
appreciate
Ben.
you. It's really
Next
lovely.
time I won't choose such a piece of shit album.
No, man. This was a good album. It wasn't my favorite of all time, but it was a good fucking album. I mean,
yeah.
It was very cerebral, for sure.
For sure. Definitely.
So I know I've listened to all your episodes, but I've never. Do you guys have a closing out method?
I did it just a minute ago.
We used to do toast and shit.
Say like, fuck, I don't know.
Well, first off, I don't know. Hold on, Ben. I would like for you to come back for. I'd like for you and Kyle to come back for a Blood Brother album.
Yes,
Yeah?
I am there.
Yeah.
Do you want to do Burn Piano I Love Burn?
We can do that, or we can do Crimes. We can do.
No, we're not going to do Young Machetes.
Let's figure that out in the near future, and then have
sure.
and have the both of these dudes on to make that shit just absolutely make that shit stank on a level nobody's ever heard before.
You let me know, and I'm there.
All right,
For sure. And maybe we can get Bailey on too, and we can just gush about
There
the
we
whole
go.
fucking album.
That would just be a fucking orgy.
Yeah, for sure.
everybody back in the pile.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Wow! Took her germ!
Oh man,
Amen.
stinger.